So Laurie Cousseau is an Academy of Orton Gillingham Practitioners and Educators accredited training fellow. She was a former director of the Kildonan Teacher Training Institute, and she is the director and owner of the Green River Literacy Center. She has more than 20 years experience as an educator. She's worked in a variety of settings and has her master's in arts and reading education, holds a level 2 Vermont certification as a reading specialist, K-12, pre-K-12, and middle grades English level language arts. She's certified academic language therapist and certified by the IDA as a dyslexia therapist. So there's more. I'm not going to keep going on because Laurie has a tremendous amount of information to provide for you. This is going to be a really, like I said, interactive. Her son is here to help her. So please enjoy the session, and I'll send it over to Laurie now.
Okay, so we will do our best. We're going to model a lot of activities. We'll try to have them close to the screen, but there are a few where we're going to step away. So I'll do my best to keep that visible and in the frame. But, you know, I just want to say that we are thrilled to be here today. And, you know, I'm just going to ask everybody to channel their inner preschooler. And so William has nicely offered to channel his inner preschool. So I thought I would share a few photos of him, which he has graciously allowed me to do. So here he is trying to eat one of his first books. And at the heart of every story is a child, and at the heart of every story are the words, the letters, and the sounds, and those are all the foundational skills for reading, and all those parts make the whole. So the journey can be beautiful and wonderful and full of joy, and also it can be very important as you build those building blocks. So here is, sorry, William.
No, it's there.
Here we go. Here he is having fun. So a lot of the activities that we have designed are activities that I did when my two sons were younger, and then we're going to model and extend those today. So this is not, I have to say, this is not a technical presentation. I will use some specific reading vocabulary, but I do intend to keep it fairly user-friendly. So rapid naming and sound play, phonological awareness, are often touted as pre-reading indicators. So the way I've delineated this, we're going to start with rapid naming, which I'll define in just a second. We're going to model a little bit conversation, play with vocabulary, which will be embedded in everything. Sound, which is irrespective of letters. You know, early alphabet awareness, dealing with letter form, naming letters, and then adding sound, and then concept of print. So rapid naming is the ability to quickly and easily name familiar things. They might be objects or colors and shapes, and then later numbers and letters. And I've included a quote from Marianne Wolf, but it's important to kind of build this ability so that children then can automatically retrieve letter names, sounds, the associative vocabulary when they are sounding out a word, or then later writing. So we are going to begin with some rapid naming activities, and I'm just going to jump to the next slide. So here is a photo of a rapid naming grid with just common everyday objects. So William and I are just going to practice that. You'll notice that there are 4 kind of thematic shapes, and I cut them out last night, and then we have them in varying orders. And so William, what are you going to use as your, okay, so William is going to use a spoon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name them first, and then I'm going to have him name them. So ready?
Yeah.
Star, moon, sun, cloud, cloud, star, moon, sun, sun, moon, cloud, star. So what am I having to do? I'm having to kind of shift that associative vocabulary as I pull it forward. All right, your turn.
My turn. Okay. Star, moon, sun, cloud, cloud, star, moon, sun, sun, moon, cloud, star.
All right. Now I'm going to embed this into context. So William,
Yes.
which of those might you see in the sky at night?
The stars and the moon, sometimes the clouds.
And what do we have in the sky right now?
We have some sun and we have some clouds.
Yes, we had more sun just a few moments ago. All right. So you can choose everyday objects and arrange them in those 3 rows. I think you should keep it to 3 objects and possibly 4. You know, for example, a spoon, fork, pencil, crayon, and always remember to model, give them practice, and then you could shift the array. So here is a model for different shapes. And one fun thing to do afterwards is pick the shapes up and then put them down in a different sequence. And you'll notice that that would require the child to scan and have the circle in different locations. And then afterwards, you can ask some questions that are related to the shape. So the next thing we're going to do is, there was this game, which I think is still around, called Simon, where you press different colors and then there's a beat or rhythm that you have to follow, and it's very loud and noisy. So we're going to do it in a more kinesthetic way. So we're going to deal with colors. So let's see if we can get this to, I'm just going to move that chair back. And can you see that? Nod your head, Suzanne.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right. So, William,
Yes.
the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to point and name the colors, and then I'm going to have you do the same thing.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Green,
Green,
blue,
blue,
pink,
pink,
orange,
orange,
red,
red,
yellow.
yellow.
Okay. Now I'm going to give you 3 motions.
Okay.
Slap. So just slap.
Slap,
Tap
tap,
and tickle.
tickle.
Okay. So you're just going to watch me, and I'm going to do that, and you just mirror what I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay, so we did that without speaking because that involves switching movement, which is hard to retrieve. So now, William, I want you to do it, but this time we're going to kind of shift the activity, and I want you to name the color as you do it. And you could, for example, we're just going to use slapping,
Okay.
so you could do green, green, blue.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Blue, pink, green.
Blue, pink, green. That was actually hard for me. All right, I don't know why.
Yellow, yellow, blue, green.
Yellow, yellow, blue. All right. So you can see how that works. You could also use the same colors and have the 3 rows and then just switch the ordering. Yeah, thanks. So we have a ton of embedded activities in here. So we're not going to be able to model everything, but we will do our best. So the next thing is also working with colors. And you can use muffin tin. You could use colored balls. You could use stacks of Legos or Play-Doh. And let's do it like this. All right. So the first thing, got it? All right. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to name the colors. You ready?
Yes.
Red,
Red,
blue,
blue,
green,
green,
yellow.
yellow.
Okay, so I'm going to take them out. So you take yours out. And I'm going to lay them down in a certain sequence, and then I'm going to have you mirror it.
Okay.
Okay. Yellow, blue, red, green.
Yellow, blue, red, green.
Okay, take them out. Okay, now I'm going to change the order, but I'm going to make this a little harder because I'm going to cover up what I'm doing. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Yellow, red, green, blue. Name them one more time.
Yellow, red, green, blue.
One more time.
Yellow, red, green, blue. Yellow, red, green, blue.
Okay, so then we would take turns, and then William would have a turn, and then I would follow. So that is great. You could do all of these activities. You could adapt for letters and numbers after you've anchored them, and you could put letters in the muffin tin, so that works well. So you could, we've mentioned shapes we've done this with, numbers, you could have a limited set between 1 and 10. I wouldn't do all 10. With letters, you could have it a limited set, start with 3 perhaps and build to 5. Avoid initially letters that look very similar. Or you could even have a mixed set of colors and shapes or a mixed set of letters and numbers. We've got paper plates on the back wall. You could do a similar activity with paper plates. And you always want to engage the child in a short conversation using the vocabulary related to the task. And then at the end, what did we just do? So William, what did we just do?
We matched colors in the muffin tin with the balls.
Okay, excellent restatement. All right. So, you're always building meaningful conversations. You're reminding children, how beautiful they are, the power of words. You want to use clear modeling, word choice is important, and then allow time for a child to articulate, and you might want to restate something back to them. You could narrate things like cooking. We've been doing a lot of cooking. What are we having for dinner?
We're having jerk chicken for dinner.
Yes. So I am admittedly not the cook in this household, but there were lots of preparations that were happening this morning. And, oral conversation helps build vocabulary as you're labeling tasks and you're labeling objects. And then later we'll map to reading and knowing the meaning of the words. So we are going to share a sample activity that will be on the CoLab website starting tomorrow. And Jackie Rogers, who's the illustrator, has helped me with the illustrations. And there will be 1 letter a day, and we're going to preview it now. And there are going to be an array of pictures per letter, and then an opportunity for the child to use those same names of the pictures in a sentence. So here we go. And thank you to William for putting this to music, and it's an adaptation of We're Going on a Bear Hunt. Oops. Why didn't it play? Thank you.
We're going on an alpha quest, gonna catch some letters, a big one, a little one. What a splendid day, we're not scared, we're excited. Woo! Woo, 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 woo.
Wow, our performance. That was...
The letter A. Ah, we can't go above it. We can't go around it. We've got to burst through it. Achoo!
Here are some pictures that begin with the letter A sound: apple, ant, alligator. And now the fantastic Lauren is going to use these in a sentence.
A. Ah, my amazing apple had an annoying ant on it, so I fed it to the angry alligator. Up, 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 choo!
And now it's your turn. Apple, ant, alligator. Use these words in your own sentence. Oops.
Here, wait.
Okay, we'll just have William navigate. So we have quite a cast of performers performing each letter, so make sure you hop on the website to see what's coming next. All
Take 4 blue rhombus, yummy, full hexagons.
So diving into conversation, we're just going to model a few activities. Where is the, oh, the toilet paper roll?
Yes. Where's it?
Right next to the, thank you. Okay. So you could use a paper towel roll also if you can find one. So, William.
Yes.
I see, something that you might cook soup in, and it is round and has a lid.
Is it a pot?
Okay, could you get it?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Your turn, you can do I Spy.
Yeah, I think the game's called I Spy.
Oh, sorry, I Spy.
I spy something brown that lays an egg.
A hen.
Yes. Wow, that's really good.
All right. Yes, this hen does lay an egg. All right, thank you.
No?
All right, now we're going to narrate motion. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just take turns. I think you can see. Okay. What am I doing?
Hopping.
Okay,
Jumping.
your turn.
What am I doing?
Marching. What am I doing?
Hopping.
All right. So you could even sequence the motions. So there is a lot more you can do with vocabulary, but I just wanted to illustrate some kind of interactive, easy to do activities that can shift back and forth. So you can do memory games. So, William.
Yes.
I am going on a picnic, and I brought an orange.
I'm going on a picnic and I brought an orange and some juice.
Okay. I'm going on a picnic and I brought some orange, some juice, and an apple. And you can use your hands to kind of anchor the term. You can actually have objects and put them in the basket. And you can kind of build from having the visual there and then taking it away and doing orally. So you can do that with whispering. There are a lot of extensions that might happen. So now we're going to shift to phonological awareness, which is such an important foundational layer for reading. And very simply, it's the ability to hear and understand that spoken words are made up of individual sounds. So for example, you see the word map. So when you say map or we speak, a lot of sounds seem to just come out of our mouths, and it's not explicit that each of those spoken words is made up of individual sounds and that there is a space between those words. So map, has 3 sounds. Later you do this when you're teaching early reading. I like to use the word map because that's what a child has to do when they're mapping the sounds to the symbols when they are first learning to read. So here is sweet Johann, and here he is at the reading center, and this is the first word that he actually did read. And so what did he have to do? later to read that word. We'd done a lot of sound play. He didn't have a huge expressive vocabulary. He didn't have a lot of components of phonological awareness. He couldn't hear beginning sounds. He couldn't rhyme. So we just played with sounds for a long time, and then we just brought one letter at a time, and we created this beautiful little illustrated alphabet book. So he has to look at the letters, he has to see the form, he has to apply the sound, and then he has to blend them together. And then he has to read that word, in this case, a number of times before he can look at that word and automatically read it in what I kind of like to say as a gulp. And then he attaches meaning to it. And here's a beautiful illustration of a map. So here are a list of some of those sound-based activities, which we are going to hopefully practice. So we're going to start with rhyming. And rhyming can be hard to define. So basically, very simply, the beginning sound changes and the middle and end stay the same. Map, cat. Syllables are a push of breath, and what causes that push of breath? The vowel in the word, because the vowel opens your mouth. Blending, you have to pull the sounds together to read the word, and that an early reader needs to do that to build automaticity. Segmenting, you have to take the word apart into its individual sounds, which is reciprocal to blending, and then identifying beginning sound is also very helpful. So that's probably as far as we're going to go with these kinds of activities. You could get to ending sound if you wanted to. So here are some sample activities. So we have, what's in here?
Rice.
We have rice. So we have a sensory box, which you could use with dried peas or dried lentils. And we have some objects in here. It was hard to find rhyming objects. Oops, thanks, Wayne. So I'm going to model it first. So I'm just going to close my eyes. Rock, fork. Why don't you name them for me?
Rock, fork.
Do those rhyme?
No, they do not.
That's a little hard because the ending sounds is the same. So let's see. Let me do this again. Let's see. Rock. Sock.
Yes, they rhyme.
All right. Your turn.
Okay. Let's see. Try to rhyme.
Yeah.
Chick and stick.
Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. So that's a little bit, that rhyming can be hard for some children. It's a little abstract. And I just like to point out that we have a fork and a cork. So you could have, we tried to find things that you might have in your own house. All right, there we go. So could you shift that aside? So included in the handouts are some beautiful sets of rhyming pictures. So I'm just going to show you some of them. You can see them on the screen. Sun, run, log, dog, wig, pig. And it's helpful to always name them first. And you can just cut them up, pop them in an envelope. And we're going to play a memory game. So when I'm going to just put 4 down, you probably want more than 4, but why don't you move them around? Okay, and then I would model this first, but why don't you go ahead and model it for me?
Okay. Pen. Men. So those rhyme. I'll put them over here.
Okay.
And wig and pig. Those also rhyme.
Right. So you probably want to have a little more, but this is a great activity. You'll have the illustrations in color and also in black and white so that children can color them. teacher, a friend of mine named Rachel is sending home packets for her kids in kindergarten, and this was one of the things that she sent home in the packet, and they've been working with them, choosing their favorite rhyming words, and then writing them. So that would certainly come later. All right, so now we're going to deal with syllables, and you can go on a syllable search in the house for food, for kitchen objects, picture from a magazine. You can clap them, so the clap is related to the push of breath or open mouth sound. You can pretend tossing the word to the child and have them echo and then clap it, or hop it, or whisper, or yodel. All right, so William.
Yes?
Let's see. Let's go on a scavenger hunt.
Okay.
Here we have 3 containers. The first container is 1, 2, and 3. And if they didn't know the symbol, I put a dot, 1, 2, and 3 dots. But you probably want to practice with some words first. So you ready?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to practice with some
We're
words.
practicing with some words. Okay.
Okay, we'll use your name first. I'm going
Okay.
to toss your name to you. William. Catch it and clap it.
William. William.
Oh, that's
weird-
kind of a
actually
tricky
weird
one,
word.
isn't it? Okay. Banjo.
Banjo.
Ukulele.
Ukulele.
All right, so that one's a little bit harder. All right, so what have you found in our kitchen?
Well, I found an egg. Egg.
You have to be careful clapping that because I believe that is not a hard-boiled
No,
egg.
it's not.
So we put it in the 1?
Yes, yes. I have a tomato.
Tomato.
That would be 3.
Okay.
And an apple. Apple. That's 2.
Okay.
We continuing?
Yes.
Okay. We have banana. Banana. That is 3. Rotten. That's 2.
Rotten. Soon to be in banana bread.
Onion. Onion. 2. And lime. 1. That was fun.
Wasn't that
That was
fun,
so
William?
fun, yeah.
That was so fun. So you could act out an instrument and then name it and then do the syllables, and I'll let you pop those back in. You could pretend to be echoing across a canyon, but you do want to be cognizant of over-exaggerating the vowel sound and opening your mouth fairly wide. All right, thank you. So it's a good thing you can't see the surrounding surfaces around the screen.
Very messy.
All right, it is very messy.
No, it's very organized.
It's very organized. It is very organized. I need the I Spy, tube.
It's right here.
Oh, right in front of me. All right. So now we're going to deal with blending sounds. And you could first just take off the initial sound, and then you can move to the 3 individual sounds when you're just going to deal with 1 syllable words. Okay, William?
Yeah.
I spy a book. Why don't you pull that together? Oh. What did I spy?
Am I doing it on my arm? Or no?
You can do it on your arm, sure.
Let's see. Book. Book.
All right, here we have our book.
Book.
Okay, this morning we had a dog, but she had to leave because she wasn't very happy. She headed off in the truck with her dad. How about a off? So you have to echo the sounds.
Okay. Sloth. Sloth.
All right, so that's a little tricky because you have 2 sounds in the beginning. So you also have pictures. You can use the rhyming pictures. So for example, I might say, G.
G.
Let's do it together.
G.
G.
Pig.
Or a.
Map.
All right, so you want to choose functional words to build vocabulary. You can then have them use those words in a sentence. So could you use the word, let's see, let's do one more. B-a-g.
B-a-g. Bug.
Could you use that in a sentence?
With just the word bug.
Sure.
I squashed the bug on my arm.
I saw Suzanne squash a wasp in her office yesterday. All right. So here we can do, so the reciprocal activity is segmenting sounds, and both of these are very helpful for reading. You could use the sensory box again. You can use the pictures. Once children are a little older and they get into kindergarten and first grade, this is where they might be tapping sounds, or they might be finger spelling. But I think with younger children that motorically that can be kind of difficult. So we're just going to punch the air and slide across. All right? So let's see. Why don't you pull a picture from our set?
Okay.
This one is actually a little hard to do.
Sorry about that.
Take that one. That has Anne in it, which we're about to model, but.
Oh, that's what I'm called.
Okay. Okay. So there we have it. So I put my hot chocolate in the morning. It is a
Cup.
okay. So let's do that. Ready? Cup. Or it might be a mug.
That's probably what it is.
Mug. All right. So you can do a lot with segmenting. So just start with 3 sound words that have a consonant, medial vowel, and then an ending consonant. So we also get into multiple meanings of words. So one if you'd like to demonstrate, you see an illustration that Jackie did for can in the corner. So you ready? Can is hard because of the welded sound at the end, and, but we're going to do it anyway. Ready? Can. Can. All right. So you're going to act out this sentence.
Okay.
I can open the can and do the can.
And do the can. Is that like when I kick my legs?
Yes. Oh, thank you. All right. Can you?
Can you? Yeah.
So you can
I
you?
certainly can, yeah.
Yes. Although an hour ago you didn't know what a can was.
Nope.
All right. So the next, we have blended sounds, we have segmented sounds, and now we're going to just isolate and identify the beginning sound. This is the same object that we looked at before, but I am thinking of an object that begins with, say that sound. It is used to cook soup, and it rhymes with hot.
Pot.
Okay, so here we go.
Okay. Whoa.
Yes. All right. I am thinking of an object that begins with, say the sound. It is used to write with and rhymes with hen.
Hen.
All right, so you can take turns, you can set up Go Fish using cards, you can do the memory game. And again, Jackie has provided a beautiful sheet of pictures for all the beginning consonant sounds. There are 4 per consonant sound and then 2 per beginning vowel sound. Actually, can you mind grabbing those? They're right.
What am I grabbing?
That there, the grid of pictures.
Oh. Like this?
Yeah. Oh, no, the other. Just hand me the pile. Thank you.
Use your words.
Use my words. That is true. Okay, so here we go. So there, you can kind of see that these are across in a row. So there are all words that begin with B and then C, and you'll have these in color in black and white. All right. You could go to identifying the ending sound if a child can easily identify the beginning sound. It's just a little bit harder because they have to hold the sounds in their, their kind of working memory to get to the ending sound. So, William, I'm thinking of an object that ends with G and is attached to my foot.
Leg.
Oh, excellent. All right, so your turn.
I'm doing one that ends in G.
It could be ends in G, or you could come up with another one.
It ends in sound.
It ends with
And
okay.
I use it to drink water out of.
Cup.
Yes. Very, very good.
Thank you. All right. So now we've been doing a lot with sound. We've been doing a lot with vocabulary, naming things. So now we're going to actually shift to the alphabet. So saying the alphabet in order will later anchor the naming of the letters and the sounds. And, there are many children who cannot hold the alphabet in their kind of oral memory. So you can start with singing the song. I'd asked William to sing it, but he declined that invitation. Then you can shift to saying it aloud while pointing to the letters. So I found that picture of the letters in green, but I typically have the vowels be red and the consonants blue. So somewhere here, you have that folding strip.
Yeah,
Do you mind grabbing that? So this is an accordion strip that unfolds, and it's tremendously long once you get it unfolded, but it's really fun for them to name the letters one at a time as they unfold it. They could clap per letter, they could march, but you want them pointing to the letters. Even if they don't know the form yet or can't name them yet, you're anchoring the idea that each letter has a name. And then later you can bring the form and the sound. You can write these on cards, you can use refrigerator magnet letters, but it's nice to have something that's all in one piece. You could use the alphabet puzzle, the paper plates, the clothesline, and then, perhaps you might have one of the letters missing and they have to figure out what that letter is. So William, let's just practice. Where's your hacky sack? Is it right there? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. So we're just going to practice tossing this back and forth, but we're going to do it by threes. The other thing you can do is you can cut this strip up into threes because it's easier to hold three in sequence. All right, do you want to start?
I'd love to, thank you.
Great, okay.
A, B, C.
I can't catch.
Really good.
D, E, F.
A G, H, I.
You'll notice that
I was cheating. I was cheating.
J, K, L.
M, N, O.
P, Q, R.
S, T, U.
V, W, X.
Y, Z.
All right. So that is a hard task, but you can build to that, and then you can go to 2, to 3, to 1. You can just roll the ball back and forth. All right.
Wait. I put this on option.
Oh, you did?
It's supposed to be
Okay. So now you're going to introduce the child to the actual letter form. We're going to suggest an order for how you might do this, but remember, this is not drill at this stage. You're just playing, and you're building letter sense. So you might start with the capitals. Now, later in kindergarten and first grade, you want to introduce children to the lowercase letters because they have to map the sound, and that's primarily what they're going to access for reading. But there is a rationale for introducing capitals first, which I'm going to present in just a second. So what letters might you choose first? Those are questions you might ask. How do you focus on the form and shape? You want children to be able to name the letter in order and then out of order. And then later, you want them to match the letter form to the sound of the letter. And then how do you handle vowels and consonants? And then you want them to match capitals with lowercase. So you can kind of build to that point. So why capitals? And Suzanne and I had a conversation earlier. I looked at a lot of sites, and I kind of intuitively thought this was best for preschoolers, but I wanted to be able to substantiate that. So I'm just gonna go for it. So they are more easily recognized. There is maximum contrast. They are made with fewer kind of forms like lines and angles and curves, and they're more bold and logographic. There are fewer letters that might be visually confused. I mentioned shifting to the lowercase and sound, but here you're just anchoring the idea that letters in the alphabet have names, and you're building letter sense. So what letter might you choose first? Well, you might choose the letter that begins a child's name because it's a rite of passage for a child to write his name. Those letters are me. So, William, what letter might we choose for you?
W would be a good one.
W, so I need your your ABC book.
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So here is William's ABC book, which he joyfully created this morning. And there's the first letter of his name. So crayon is nice. I'm going to talk about tactile tracers in a second, but I'm not going to ask him to write his name yet. You can see Luke has letters to trace. I just want you to trace over the first letter of your name.
Okay.
Angle down, up, down, angle.
Up, down, up, down, up.
All right. Then you can teach the letters. I like to just teach at this point the letters in order of the alphabet. So here is something that you can create. We set this up so that initially there was the capital letter, then the lowercase, so the child could just flip the pages of this book, add to it as they're introduced, just glue these cards in, and then with Jackie's pictures, you can put pictures on the back. There's that ant, the alligator and the apple. And you could also, if you found objects that began with that letter, you could tape them in, but it's something that they can, oops, I'm not holding this very well.
Oh, I can hold that for you.
Thank you. You can kind of flip through. I know when I work with older children and I build this kind of book, I might even put in a picture of how it is produced in their mouth, the sound, but you can again bring that later. So here are some of the vocabulary that is associated with the form and shape of the letters. I know I do a lot of work with Waldorf schools regionally here, and they do form drawing, and you know it does make sense because these forms, if you can start with whole body, you can anchor the term and what it means, and then you can attach it to the actual formation of the letter. So William, let's just kind of act these out for a second.
Okay. Yes?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Line, up and down, across, line across,
line across,
curve right.
curve right.
Now that's hard, and I'm across from him, so that's not working. So I'm going to stand next to him, and then curve left,
Curve left,
angle,
angle,
point,
point,
go down,
down,
start, angle up,
angle up,
and stop.
stop.
So I wouldn't do all of that at once. I would just kind of build to that. Rather than even dealing a little bit with right and left, you might mention it, but you can have them turn their whole body. Later, when you, for example, bring the letter lowercase b, you know, it's so confusing with that kind of bubble on the bottom, you know, which direction. You can have a B on the right-hand corner of the room, and they can make the formation of the B and turn in that direction. So you can say the letter, model with the whole arm, you can do skywriting, you can trace on the wall, the carpet, and you can have them use their whole bodies. So let's practice on the wall. We'll see if you can see this.
The B and the U, is that what we're doing?
Yeah, kind of, oops.
You can see it.
Can you see it okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
think so.
can you see that? Here, let me see if I can get it closer. All right, so on the wall, it's a little hard to see, but what I've done is create the letters with painter's tape. And at this point, we have dealt with form a little bit, we've introduced some letters, and I'm going to show contrasting letters. So, V, I'm going to use 2 fingers, angle down, stop at the point, angle up, V.
Start.
Here you ready?
My right hand. Angle down, up, angle up. B.
All right. Now the U has what on the bottom?
Curve.
Okay. Down, curve, up. Okay. Then you can do the same thing with skywriting. It's a little hard to make a curve with painter's tape, but you can kind of scrunch it at the bottom. Letter tracers can be made with a piece of paper or a card, and you can put a screen underneath it, and you can use a soft crayon, and the letter will be written with a bumpy surface. So you can see that S there, and the arrow in terms of direction, and then a starting dot. And those can also be placed in the child's alphabet book. You can place painter's tape on the wall, and you can use a paintbrush. And just a household paintbrush. And once they have the letter form in their hand, then, do you want to just pretend there are ruled lines over there? Maybe go down a little bit.
Here.
Sure. So I'm going to name a letter. He's going to use his whole arm, and then he's going to trace it with the paintbrush. Aha. So this later you can use as here's a tracing mat that's set up. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
B.
Lowercase or capital?
No, we're still doing capitals.
Capitals. Okay. B.
Okay, so you can kind of see how that works. I have some crayon tracers, but we're not going to attempt to locate them now. So here are some sample activities, and we've modeled some of these already. You can have letters in the sensory box, and you can dig them out and name them, and you can compare some of them. You could slap the letters with a spatula or a spoon or a fly swatter. And you could even have a scavenger hunt around the room where you put the letters around the room. But here's a trick. If I'm looking at, for example, this letter, how might I know which way to orientate it? So you can put a line on the bottom, just like I did with that P. So William, do you want to give this a shot back there?
Yes. Oh, using a fly swatter.
Excellent. And at this point, I'll move out of the frame. Several of the letters are missing because William has his alphabet anchored pretty well. So he's going to name them. I have two ways to do letters. There are paper plates on the top, and there are letters on a clothesline on the bottom. Thank you.
Yes.
Vanna.
Ben,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, which is about to fall off, N, O, P. We're missing a P, so I'll find one. Have it.
That M doesn't want to stay.
No, it doesn't. Q, R, S, T. T, T on. U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
Okay. Now later, let's say that we have attached sound to the letters. I might say, could you find the letter that says as in map?
M.
Okay. Whoop as in William or wind.
W, W.
B as in boxing bear.
B, B. Letter B.
Thank you. Oops, is it really? What time is it?
It is almost it's 1 minute to 1, Laurie.
Okay, so we started a little bit late, so I'm going to do my best to motor through here. Okay, so another activity which is on the CoLab website, Preschool Tips, is crash, where you have the letters in a box, and then there is a crash symbol. So the child takes the letters out, names them, and then when they get the crash symbol, they have to return their letters, and you can have multiple sets of letters. We talked about building an ABC book. Can you grab the paper cups thing?
Oh, they're back here, actually.
There you go, back here.
Oops, there goes our N.
All right, so we have 3 cups. We'll just model this quickly. And you can put letters underneath the cups, and I have them written on wooden chips. All right, so let's move those around for the quick reveal.
Okay.
Go.
B, B.
All right, so William already knows the sound. All right, nice job.
Quite good, thank you.
Okay.
U.
Okay, and finally,
Z.
okay, let's do Z with her whole arms. All right. So what I did to code these is if I had a mixed set of capitals and lowercase, I put a box on the back for capitals, and I put a circle on the lowercase, and I actually put a red dot for the vowel. So whatever I'm doing, I want to help the child, support them with kind of some kind of subtle coding. You could do letters, thank you, in a muffin tin. You want to grab that flashlight for me? Which may have ended up back here. This is a wonderful site. It's the Cox campus in Atlanta, Georgia, associated with Rollins and the Atlantic Speech School, and they came up with this fun game called Magic Light, where I'm cut off from my screen. Tell me the letters you know, and you just point, you turn off the lights. You want to hold it up close?
Yeah, it doesn't really work with the lights on.
So you can use the flashlight to trace the form of the letter. You can have them name the letter, and then later you can have them bring the sound. So that is a fun activity. So grab that cookie sheet. When you introduce lowercase letters, you use some of the same principles used for capitals: form, name, and then sound. You can make cards with the capital and lowercase on the same card, then you can split them in half and match. You can use the folding alphabet strip. You can use HOPSCOTCH, which is fun. You can do with painter's tape or on an outdoor sidewalk. This is an activity with painter's tape on the top with the capitals. And then why don't you just flip a few of those. And then you match the lowercase to the capitals on the cookie sheet. So that is a fun activity. Again, I have the line on the bottom. If you have magnets, typically a cookie sheet is magnetized and you can move them around. So then you have a kind of an intact set. So lowercase letters might be introduced as younger brothers and sisters. Some are almost the same, they're just smaller, like C or P or W or X or Z. Some have the same name and sound, but they might be a little bit different or have a different shape. So you can anchor those with the kinesthetic form and then bringing the sound.
You're working so hard.
Just remember that for right now, you are building the pieces, the foundational skills for reading and letter sense. So I'm almost there, Suzanne. Consideration of consonants. Children need clean and clear articulation. Now, you know if your child is struggling with certain sounds. So you can model, you can have them look at your mouth, knowing that you're not necessarily a speech language pathologist, but just some overriding considerations that pronounce the letters without an at the end. And we'll just model a few of these. B,
T,
m. And one good way to practice is to close your eyes and feel the sound in your mouth. Feel for your teeth, tongue, and lips. And here's some sticklers. G has a G sound, but the letter name is closer to J, and Y has a Y sound, but its name is closer to W. So you can dance the letters with your body. You can bop like a B, or box like a B, slither like an S, and I've listed some. You could come up with some of your own. There's a beautiful program called Sounds in Motion. So vowels are open mouth sounds. And reminder that every syllable or word has to have a vowel to open your mouth. So we provided a pronunciation grid for the vowel, so we'll just run through it. A, biting an apple. E, pulling your mouth to the edge. I, itching your nose. Circle around your mouth. Thumbs up, and the corner of your mouth goes up like a smile. And then we're going to feed the alpha monster. So we have, this is also inspired by the Cox campus. Did attempt to sew this, I'm not sure what happened to the mouth. So I'm the alphabet eater, William, and I am so hungry. I love the letter O as in opera and octopus. Will you feed it to me?
I'd love to.
All right, so puppets are fun, and this was easily made with a sock, except for the mouth is harder to do. So here's a joke. What letter likes to take naps and snooze?
Z.
So, children like to come up with those. So finally, you're going to get to concepts of print. And this is what we do. We curl up with books and we read and we enjoy them together, but there's certain kind of guiding principles. So this is one of our favorite books, Pizza, Pizza. And Suzanne William did volunteer to do a read aloud with this, and then we will video making a pizza on the couch or making an alphabet pizza. But am I holding this correctly, William?
No, it's sideways.
All right, what's the title?
Pizza.
Who wrote it?
William Steig.
How do you turn the pages? Read from top to bottom. Words flow from left to right. You swoop to the next line. Each word is a group of letters with space between. You have them point to the words, even if they're not reading. And then you have them imagine the story and relate to it. What did it make you think of? But this is a beautiful book about a little boy on a rainy day, and his parents turn him into a pizza. So this was Williams Brothers Pete, one of his favorite books, and William Steig used to play this game with his daughter Maggie. So there it is. And I just want to tell you a little bit briefly about Jackie. So Jacqueline Rogers is a good friend of mine. She's a New York Times best-selling children's book author and illustrator. And she's been working with us on a curriculum called The Magic Alphabator. And she recently had a book published, Goblin Moon. And if you want to see her beautiful illustrations, you can go to her website. And here are a list of possible materials that you might have at home. A lot of them we've modeled. And here are the resources that we'll provide: rhyming pictures, a set of beginning sound pictures and consonants, and then the Google slide presentation. And then check out the CoLab site beginning tomorrow, where the A will be released, and then every subsequent day, I guess outside of the weekend, each letter. And there are some fun actors who have volunteered to channel their inner child as they use the words in a sentence. And here is our contact information. And again, you know, we welcome any questions. Use the chat box, you know, get those to Suzanne, and I would be glad to answer those. And thank you to William for doing this.
It's my pleasure. It was a really fun morning.
Yes, he's had a fun morning. All right. But
everybody. Yeah, you're good. Laurie, you're done?
I'm done. I just want to say enjoy and have fun with this.
Yes, and thank you, everybody. Thank you for all of your positive feedback in the chat box, and thank you for your questions. We'll get back to you. There were only a few questions, but we will get back to you on those. And I really appreciate everybody's excitement for this and for joining us today. So thank you, and please check out the South CoLab website under the preschool tab. There are a lot of activities. We've been adding to it on a regular basis, so please check it out.